In this video, I'm going to be building everybody's favorite season of Fortnite, Chapter 5, Season 3 out of LEGO. This season of Fortnite has been very interesting. A large chunk of the island has been taken over by a post-apocalyptic desert wasteland. Cars are running rampant all over the map. The crossover events seem totally random. So let's get into it. I wanted to capture this season of Fortnite in LEGO by building what I think really represents the season. The new region is desert themed with a bunch of reddish clay colors. This is a problem for me as I don't have a lot of pieces in these colors. Speaking of clay colors, this little dude hiding in the drawer is Clayface from the LEGO Batman movie. And even though I think he's pretty cute, I had to put him out of his misery so I could use him for spare parts. His sacrifice won't go in vain, but I still need a lot more parts. Luckily, I found this UCS Luke's Landspeeder just hanging out on the shelf. This set is totally stacked in the light nougat color, and I think it's going to be perfect for this desert build. I quickly began disassembling the set because I was in a hurry. I needed to get this build ready in less than 2 days because I was going to show it at a convention in Nashville. So I started this build off by using a lot of the extra bricks and plates that came from the Landspeeder set. I guess I forgot how many bricks and pieces were in this set. I kind of just started putting plates and bricks in random orientations so I could get this kind of abnormal looking shape. Then I started placing a bunch of snot bricks on the border of my little build here. This will help to make a more natural edge later. When it comes to making a custom scene like this, I think it goes a long way by including a lot of irregularities. You don't want to just end up with like a giant base plate with a bunch of clones on it or something. Now we're ready to finally break out some of that sweet nougat. I decided to use the darker nougat from Clayface to be kind of the rock edges on the outside, and I'm gonna use the lighter nougat to be more of the topsoil, I guess if you want to call it that. I put on a few more plates for stability and began working on the actual scenery. Now, I wanted to include a build from the game, however, most of the POIs in this region are rather large for this, so I found this weird kind of like outpost area that I'm loosely basing my build off of. I really simplified the build from the game because, again, I was just running out of space. I used a little bit of snot techniques to kind of add some texture to it, but it's a really basic build. Now, I wanted to add a little bit of height to this thing, so I kind of just like made up this technique to make it seem like there's a bunch of cross beams. And then I really mailed it in when it came to the roof. This is something I wanted to readdress. I didn't really like how I used the ladders over there to represent the fence around the watchtower, but I was running out of time. I designed a few micro builds to place around the mod that included some slurp barrels, this weird slurp cactus thing, a nitro tank, as well as a gold chest, and I even threw in the guitar from the Metallica collab. Now I was able to finally place some minifigures here. I ended up using just a few random minifigures like this alien guy with a sniper rifle, this T-Rex with nitro fists, this Power Ranger looking dude, and this streamer guy. I went ahead and added some IP figures as well. I did a Stormtrooper, even though that's from last season. I also included my favorite version of Lego Magneto. I'm so thankful that I got this set when it came out like 10 years ago. I made this custom T60 power armor from the Fallout collab. I even gave him a little cute Pip-Boy backpack. I added some dead plants as well as all the accessories and minifigures to the build, and I think for about 3 hours worth of building, it looks pretty good. Although I don't think this scene necessarily screams Fortnite, but anybody who's played this season is probably gonna recognize this. Now, I know what you're thinking.
Mr. Stud, where are the cars?
Don't worry, we got that covered. You see, LEGO recently released the LEGO Speed Champions Mercedes AMG G63 and Mercedes AMG SL63, aka the G-Wagon and the yellow car. The G-Wagon looks pretty similar to the SUV found in Fortnite, and I'm too lazy to make my own. But I had one big problem. At the time, the set was just totally sold out online, in stores, and I couldn't find it anywhere. Luckily, Walmart had my back, and I was able to get it shipped to my house the day before we left. I didn't have time to build it at home, so I saved it for the convention. Speaking of which, I now had to undo all my hard work so I could pack it up and take it on the plane. I used saran wrap so that way I could keep my build nice and fresh. And I was off to Tennessee. This is BrickFan Expo in Nashville. And even though I've been to what seems like 100 LEGO conventions by now, this is actually the very first time I'll be showing anything at a convention. Once I got to my table, I quickly unpacked all my junk so I can start building my mock. I have a lot of friends that have this inside joke about setting up their mocks at LEGO conventions and how like it could get kind of frustrating while you're building it. Everybody's coming up to talk to you, and I definitely felt that here. Here's a clip of my wife using fancy glasses to harass me while I'm building my set.
So I can like look at my build down here and come down. I can show it. Wow, that's so neat. There's Ross and all of this here.
Once I finally got my build done, I started working on the G-Wagon. And I have to say, I haven't really built a lot of Speed Champion sets, but if all the other Speed Champion sets are at this caliber, then I definitely see the appeal. I couldn't believe how many pieces were actually jam-packed into this thing, and it came out a lot bigger than I realized, but it looks awesome. I even brought some extra pieces so I can mount a turret to the top of it. I wanted to recreate the scene from the trailer where the Fallout guy uses a harpoon gun on the car. So I whipped up this really crude looking harpoon and gave it to him. And to my surprise, it actually worked. Look at him. He's just sliding around on the back there. And with that, my build is complete. Not bad for 3 hours of building. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how it came out. And I actually had a few people guess what it was, so that was reassuring. I think having all these wacky characters in the display really makes it a Fortnite mock. Now I know what you're gonna say.
But Mr. Stud, what about Pirates of the Caribbean?
Don't worry, we got that covered. Once I got home, I got a buttload of these white plates to make a really weird looking shape. These white plates are gonna be used for the base of the lagoon in the middle of the map where all the pirate action is. Thankfully, I have a giant bin of these trans blue tiles. I was actually teetering between using the light blue or the dark blue, but I think the light blue is gonna work better for this. I was careful to place the tile in a way that would keep all the plates together. This build ended up becoming a little bit fragile, but that's okay. It's okay to be fragile. I then covered the surrounding parts of the lake with the remaining parts from the land speeder and Clayface. I left a little hole in the center of the lake because I wanted to incorporate the new mythic, the ship in a bottle. This mythic essentially summons a giant pirate ship that just crushes the map, and I thought it would be so fun to incorporate that here. And I had the perfect way to do this. I raided my wife's Lego city and found this SpongeBob set, the Flying Dutchman's pirate ship. Not to be confused with the Flying Dutchman, which is a pirate ship in Pirates of the Caribbean that belongs to Davy Jones. I placed the ghostly ship in the center of the lagoon, and I put Jack Sparrow on the crow's nest on top. I decided to make my own version of Toon Meowscles because that's who I normally use when I play, and he's running away from Jack Sparrow's mythic. And now we're ready to add in the last crossover, the Fall Guys event. So after you jump off the bus, you can actually land on this giant Fall Guys platform, and you can actually play a mini round of Fall Guys in the middle of Battle Royale. Now, this is actually really hard to incorporate into LEGO because it's a bunch of floating platforms, but I think I came up with something that mildly satisfies it. I used the base of the Age of Ultron set that just came out. It has a lot of pine trees and a lot of snow, which I thought fit in really well for this. I took out all the figures and accessories so I could put my Fall Guys build here. I have to admit, this is probably the least effort I put into this build so far, but I was ready to get this out before the new season, which I failed to do. For the build, I wanted to incorporate those red and white propellers that you see on the bottom of the platform, and essentially just put a bunch of clear pieces so I could have it floating up in the air. But I'm proud that I was at least able to get it to spin, kind of. I used this dome piece from the Sonic sets to be kind of like the little trampoline piece you jump on, and I put my little Fall Guy right on top. I'm actually pretty happy with how this Fall Guy turned out for being 100% Lego pieces. Now, speaking of the next season, I am so excited because it's Marvel themed. But luckily in this season, we were able to get Deadpool, Wolverine, and even Cyclops as characters that you could buy, so I'm gonna incorporate them into the build as well. Now, side note, I'm a little bit upset about this. When I bought the Deadpool and Wolverine combo pack, I just assumed that you get Lego versions for both of them, but for whatever reason, they don't have a Lego Deadpool. What is up with that? There is an official Lego Deadpool. In fact, there's actually 3 official Lego Deadpool figures, and I don't understand why Fortnite didn't put them in Lego. That's just really weird to me. My headcanon is that in the Deadpool 3 movie, Deadpool actually makes fun of Danish people at one point, so maybe Lego was just really upset about that and didn't want to make him a Lego figure again. Who knows? So I placed Wolverine, Deadpool, and Cyclops onto the map, and with that, I think we're done. From the desert to the lagoon to the icy tundras, here is my Chapter 5 Season 3 Fortnite Lego build. I had a lot of travel going on while I was working on this project, so I was a little rushed when it came to building this. But I am pretty happy with how it turned out. Looking back on this season, I think I can safely say it was definitely not my favorite. I think I enjoyed this season when it came to squads and duos, but solos was just absolutely unbearable for me. I was not a big fan of all the cars. I'm still relatively new to Fortnite, so I didn't get to play the last Marvel season, and I'm really excited to build my own version of Season 4. I have a ton of Marvel figures, including the original Doctor Doom. Let me know what you think about this build, as well as this season of Fortnite. Like I said, not my favorite, but I'm really excited for the next one. And hey, if you're planning on getting the Battle Pass for Season 4, please consider using my creator code, Emmasaurus. It'll really help me out. That's it for now. I'll see you guys on the island.